The sky outside was gray, as Wendy sat across from Elaine's spotless desk, watching her boss flip through the promotion file with polished disinterest. 5 years of surrendered weekends, skipped family meals, and endless late nights had been distilled into a thin stack of pages that Elaine barely glanced at before setting aside. "I appreciate your enthusiasm," Elaine said, adjusting her designer glasses as if the gesture itself closed the discussion. "But after reviewing your application, I don't feel you're ready for senior management, perhaps in another year or two." Acceptable. The word landed between us with dull finality. I had preserved the department's highest client satisfaction scores, personally rescued the Laffer account when everyone else had written it off, and hadn't taken a real weekend in nearly 3 years. Still, I smiled and nodded, that carefully practiced expression every long-term employee learns to wear. "I understand. Thank you for the feedback." "I'm glad we're aligned," Elaine replied, already glancing at her watch. "The Ellison proposal needs your attention today. They're asking for additional metrics before signing." By the time I gathered my things, she was already typing, my disappointment erased as efficiently as it had been dismissed. I walked past the corner office that should have been mine, the glass door and wide window where my name should have been etched. In the parking garage, I sat behind the wheel and studied my reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back wasn't heartbroken or furious. She was assessing. I turned the key and made 2 quiet decisions that would alter everything. I would cancel my upcoming vacation, and I would stop writing my daily operational guides. No one inside the building realized it yet, but the flawless system they depended on was about to buckle without its unseen support. Before I tell you what happened next, you might wonder why so many people stay in roles where their value is constantly overlooked. If any of this feels familiar, like and subscribe. I share a new career strategy every week that can completely change how you move through your professional life. Now back to what followed that meeting. My name is Amelia Carlton, and until that day, I was the most dependable employee at Meridian Solutions. Not the loudest, not the most celebrated, but the one who kept everything functioning while others soaked up the recognition. I've always been methodical, with an almost photographic memory for systems. Growing up as the oldest of 5 taught me to spot problems before they exploded, a skill that translated seamlessly into corporate survival. When I joined the company 5 years earlier, I walked straight into disorder. The previous team lead had quit abruptly after clashing with management, taking all procedural knowledge with them. No manuals, no transition notes, not even system passwords. Clients were threatening to leave, and no one knew how to stabilize operations. I spent 3 draining months rebuilding everything from scratch, staying past midnight, untangling spreadsheets, reconstructing client histories line by line. I documented every workflow, color-coded, indexed, and organized, so nothing would ever be that fragile again. Elaine never bothered to learn the systems. Why would she, when I made sure they ran flawlessly? "You're a natural problem solver," she'd say during reviews, followed by modest raises that never reflected the load I carried. When we secured Ellison Enterprises, a contract worth millions annually, it was because I built that relationship from nothing, adjusting to their overseas hours and mastering their industry nuances. Elaine attended a handful of meetings, mostly to speak during executive summaries. Every morning, I arrived at 7:30 to prepare briefing notes for her management sessions. Every evening, I sent detailed project updates. Between those moments, I quietly prevented disasters before anyone noticed. The morning after my promotion was denied, something inside me shifted. I arrived at exactly 9, not earlier. I prepared no briefing notes. I responded only to emails addressed directly to me. When a supplier issue surfaced, I forwarded it to the appropriate department instead of resolving it myself. By noon, colleagues hovered at my desk, confusion etched across their faces. "Amelia, did you see the Loftford scheduling thread?" Peter asked. "Yes," I replied, continuing to type. He waited. "Can you fix it?" I looked up calmly. "That's procurement's responsibility." I forwarded it to Diane. His eyebrows lifted. "But you always handle these." "I've been advised to focus strictly on my assigned duties," I said with a faint smile. I'm just respecting the structure. At 5, I packed up and left. No overtime, no laptop at home. During the drive, I canceled my long-planned vacation, the first real break I'd scheduled in 3 years. Instead, I stayed to observe. That night, I silenced my phone and baked chocolate chip cookies with my daughter Elena, laughing over misshapen dough. "Why are you home early?" she asked. "Because my time matters, and so do you," I told her. The next morning, cracks were already spreading. Ellison requested urgent changes only I knew how to implement. Elaine unraveled without my notes. "Where are the process files?" she demanded. I directed her to the shared drive. She stared at the massive document in growing panic. "Can you just handle it?" "I can tomorrow. I have a compliance review due today." She left without responding. That evening, I took Elena to the park while my work phone filled with notifications. When I checked it later, there were 79 missed calls. Systems were failing. Ellison was threatening to pull out. The compliance report was unfinished. I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I arrived at 9 again. The office buzzed with chaos. Elaine paced on video calls. Byron Wallace, the regional director, waited anxiously. In the conference room, Byron was relieved when I sat down. "We need your help," he said. Elaine cut in sharply. "What will it take for you to fix this? The promotion is yours." I tilted my head. "That's generous, but I've been approached by a competitor. They've offered me senior management and a significant raise. Apparently, they believe I'm qualified." Silence filled the room. "You're leaving?" Byron asked. "Not yet. I'm considering my options." "We'll match anything," he said quickly. I smiled slightly. "It's not just about money. It's about recognition, respect, and opportunity." Elaine leaned forward, her voice tight. "The Ellison client specifically requested you by name. You can't possibly leave now." "Interesting," I said evenly. "So did 4 others in the past month." I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the table. "Here's my 2 weeks' notice. I'll assist with the transition as required by my contract." Elaine moved to grab the folder, but Byron was faster. He opened it, skimmed the contents, then shut it firmly. "This won't be necessary," he said. "Amelia, I'd like to speak with you privately in my office." As I rose to follow him, Elaine remained seated, her knuckles white against the polished table. The company's reaction to my resignation was about to reveal just how much they had underestimated me, and what they were willing to do now that they finally saw my worth. I walked behind Byron to his corner office, aware of the curious glances from colleagues as we passed. His office was sleek and commanding, awards lining one wall and floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic city view. He gestured for me to sit. "I've been watching your performance for a while," he began, folding his hands, though perhaps not as closely as I should have. I stayed silent. "The situation with Elaine concerns me," he admitted. "This is the first I've heard of your promotion being denied. Why didn't you come to me directly?" "Chain of command," I replied evenly. "Elaine's my supervisor. Going over her head felt inappropriate." He nodded slowly. "Admirable, but maybe misplaced in this case. Tell me honestly, what would it take to keep you here?" I chose my words carefully. "Proper recognition for my work, fair compensation, and a position where I can lead with my own strategies instead of executing someone else's vision." Byron studied me for a long moment. "I'm creating a new position, Director of Operational Systems. You'd report directly to me, double your current salary, 3 remote days a week, full authority over workflow design. The position is yours if you want it." I didn't answer right away, and he seemed surprised. "Is that not enough?" he asked. "It's generous," I said, "but this isn't a bluff. There's another company waiting for my decision." Byron leaned back thoughtfully. "What can they offer that we can't match?" "A clean slate," I said simply. "No history of being overlooked. No coworkers who still see me as support staff instead of leadership." He sighed. "Fair point. But consider this. You've built systems here you know better than anyone. Clients who trust you. Starting over means rebuilding all of that from scratch." He was right. 5 years of institutional knowledge couldn't be easily replaced, but neither could the feeling of constantly being undervalued. "I'll need time to think," I said finally. "Of course," he replied. "Take the weekend, but I'll need an answer by Monday morning." He stood, signaling the meeting's end. "And Amelia, please stabilize the Ellison account before making any final decisions." I nodded. "I'll handle Ellison personally today." When I returned to my desk, an email from Byron already waited, his offer in writing. The salary figure made me blink twice. It was more than double what I currently earned. The job description read as if it had been tailored for me. I was gathering materials for the Ellison meeting when Elaine appeared beside my desk, her expression carefully neutral. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "Not here. Lunch?" "I have the Ellison call at noon," I said evenly. "After that?" "Then my office at 2. She nodded, and I turned my attention back to the crisis in front of me. The Ellison team sounded frustrated but instantly relieved once I joined the call. Their requests were demanding, customizations that should take weeks needed within days. I laid out a phased strategy addressing their most urgent needs first, while ensuring the long-term vision stayed intact. "This is exactly why we wanted to work with your company," their director said. "You understand our business goals, not just the technical side." When the call ended, I documented every step clearly and sent it to the implementation team with precise instructions. Normally, I'd handle everything personally, but today I delegated, remaining available for questions, not ownership. At 2 o'clock, I knocked on Elaine's door. She looked smaller somehow, shadows under her eyes hinting at a sleepless night. "Close the door," she said quietly, motioning to the chair across from her desk. "I understand Byron offered you a new position." "He did," I confirmed. She exhaled slowly. "I won't pretend I'm thrilled, but I get it. You're valuable to the company." I waited, sensing she wasn't finished. "I owe you an apology," she admitted, her tone strained. "I've depended on your competence without giving proper credit or reward." "Can I ask you something?" I said, genuinely curious. "When you said I wasn't qualified for senior management, what exactly did you think I was missing?" Elaine shifted uneasily. "You've always been the technical one, the problem solver behind the curtain. Senior management requires visibility, presence, politics." "In other words," I said coolly, "I do the work while others get the spotlight." Her expression faltered. "That's oversimplifying." "Is it?" I asked. "Who presented the winning Ellison strategy to the executives?" "I did, but based on your proposal," she admitted softly. "The client retention plan last quarter that saved 4 accounts. Who got the leadership award?" "That was a team effort," she said weakly. "A team I led, coordinated, and produced every deliverable for," I reminded her. I leaned forward. "I'm not unqualified, Elaine. I've just been invisible while others stood on my shoulders." The silence between us stretched long. "Are you taking Byron's offer?" she asked, finally. "I haven't decided." "If you stay," she said carefully, "things will be different between us." "Yes," I agreed quietly. "They will." The weekend gave me clarity away from the office. I took Elena to the Science Museum on Saturday, a promise I'd made for months but never kept. On Sunday, I called my sister. "What does your gut say?" she asked. "That I've outgrown the box they built for me," I said, "but I'm not sure if Byron's offer changes that or just makes the box prettier." "Would you still report to Elaine?" she asked. "No, directly to Byron." "And what happens to Elaine?" "He didn't say, but I suspect her role is being reconsidered." My sister was silent a moment. "So your choices are a fresh start or a promotion that could demote your old boss." Hearing it that way made it heavier. "I don't want revenge," I said quietly. "I just want acknowledgement." "Are you sure?" she pressed. "Because it sounds like part of you would enjoy seeing her face the consequences of underestimating you." Her words hit closer than I wanted to admit. Was that what I wanted? To see Elaine humbled, forced to recognize how much she'd leaned on me while dismissing my worth. By Monday morning, my decision was made. I arrived early, 7:30 a.m. like I used to, and walked straight to Byron's office. His assistant hadn't arrived yet, but his door was open. "You're early," he noted, glancing up. "I wanted to give you my answer before things get busy," I said, taking a seat. "I'm accepting your offer, with 2 conditions." His eyebrows lifted. "I'm listening." "First, I want full authority to build my own team. 3 hires I consider essential." Byron nodded. "Reasonable. And the second?" "Elaine stays in her current position." This clearly caught him off guard. "After how she treated you? Why?" "Because replacing her won't fix the structural problems in the department," I explained, "and I don't want my first leadership act to look like revenge." Byron regarded me with new interest. "That's unexpected and politically wise." "I've learned a few things watching from the sidelines," I said. "Very well. Elaine stays, though her department will now coordinate operational matters through your office." "Thank you." "No, Amelia," Byron corrected, extending his hand. "Thank you for staying. The announcement goes out this morning. Be prepared for some reactions." He wasn't wrong. At 10 a.m., the company-wide email announced my new role and expanded responsibilities. My inbox flooded instantly with congratulations, questions, and meeting requests. Peter stopped by, looking slightly sheepish. "So you're my boss now?" "Technically, yes," I confirmed. "Is that a problem?" He shook his head quickly. No, it's great. You've always been the one who actually knows what's going on." Anyway, throughout the day, colleagues who had barely noticed me suddenly found reasons to introduce themselves. Administrative assistants who had always been kind now smiled knowingly. They understood better than anyone how invisible work kept the company running. Elaine avoided me until late afternoon, when she approached with a folder. "The quarterly strategy document," she said stiffly. "Since operational planning falls under your purview, you'll need to present this at tomorrow's executive meeting." I accepted it. "Thank you. I'll review it tonight." She turned to leave but paused. "For what it's worth, I didn't recommend against your promotion because I thought you were incapable. I did it because I couldn't afford to lose you from my team." Perhaps the most honest thing she'd ever said. "That's the core issue, isn't it?" I replied. "Good managers develop their people, even if it means letting them move on." She nodded sharply once and walked away. That evening, I stayed late, reorganizing my workspace for my new role. Byron stopped by on his way out. "Still here? Thought you'd be celebrating." I smiled. "I'll celebrate this weekend. Right now, I'm planning." "Planning what?" he asked. "How to ensure no one else in this company is overlooked the way I was." I handed him a document I'd been refining. "This is my proposed structure for the new department, including training programs to identify internal talent and systematically develop it." He flipped through the pages, eyebrows rising. "You developed all this today?" "No," I admitted. "I've been refining it for about 2 years. I just never had the authority to implement it." Byron shook his head, impressed. "Remind me never to underestimate you, Amelia." "That's the plan," I said with a smile. 3 months later, transformation was well underway. My team included a brilliant systems analyst who had been buried in IT support and a process developer, miscast as an administrative assistant. Together, we streamlined operations across 4 departments, cutting overtime by 40% while boosting productivity metrics. Elaine and I maintained a professional relationship, respectful though not friendly. Freed from operational details, she excelled at client-facing interactions. Employee satisfaction scores across the division improved dramatically. The Ellison contract expanded to include 2 additional service lines, specifically requesting my new team. Their CEO personally called Byron to commend the company's operational turnaround. On a Friday afternoon, 6 months after my non-promotion, I left the office at 5 p.m., maintaining a habit I'd kept despite added responsibilities. Elena was waiting at home, homework spread across the kitchen table. "How was work, Mom?" she asked, looking up from her math problems. "Productive," I replied, setting down my laptop bag. "The new training program launched today. 25 employees are getting development opportunities they wouldn't have had before." "Like you didn't get?" "Children see more than we realize." "Yes, exactly like that," I said. She paused thoughtfully. That's a nice way to fix things. Instead of getting angry, you're making it better for others. I smiled, appreciating the wisdom in her words. Sometimes the best response to being undervalued isn't anger, it's showing your true worth so clearly that it can never be questioned again. That evening, as Elena slept and I reviewed presentations for Monday's executive meeting, my phone buzzed with a text from Byron. Board approved your promotion to VP level effective next month. Unanimous vote. Elaine actually gave the strongest recommendation. Congratulations. I set the phone down, a warm sense of satisfaction settling over me. This wasn't about winning or revenge. It was about finally being seen, truly seen for what I had always been capable of achieving. The corner office with my name on the door was nice, but it wasn't the real victory. The victory was transforming a system that had failed not just me, but countless others whose quiet competence went unnoticed. The victory was creating pathways for others to rise without needing to become invisible first. Sometimes the most powerful response to being undervalued isn't proving others wrong, it's crafting a world where talent can no longer be ignored, no matter how quietly it performs. If you've ever felt invisible at work while carrying more than your share, I hope my story gives you courage. The skills that make you indispensable are the very skills that qualify you for leadership. Don't wait for recognition. Demonstrate your value so clearly that denying it becomes impossible. And if you found value in this story, please like and subscribe for more strategies on transforming workplace dynamics. Remember, your worth isn't defined by others' inability to see it. It's measured by the impact you create, whether acknowledged or not.